Powered by Riverside FM.
Okay, so this week for the Browns Backers interview series, we have the opportunity to talk to Jessica from the Seattle Browns Backers. Jessica, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. We know everybody's busy, so we appreciate you taking the time. So first of all, let's talk about your chapter. Tell us a little bit about the Seattle Browns Backers. Where are you guys located? When you were established, your viewing location, and kind of how many members you guys have.
Sure. So obviously, we're located in Seattle. So we were established in 1989. So kind of a little fun fact is my vice president, her dad actually was one of the founders. So
nice.
He's actually going to be here this weekend for the game, which is really exciting. In terms of members, we have, I think it's like 226 like official members, but we let anybody come and join. So, people from out of town come all the time, especially earlier in the season, since the weather's still nice. And we meet at the Westie. So it's just like a little bit north of downtown, but still central in Seattle. We've been there for, I want to say 5 years now, maybe 6 years. So, and I've been in my role. This is my third year. Nice. In the
Westie, do they take care of you guys pretty well?
They do. They're amazing. Let's say, I don't know if she won't be listening probably, but shout out to Diane. She's the one that helps us in our back room every weekend. And I actually gave her one of our Seattle Browns Backers shirts on Saturday, and she was very excited. Or on Sunday. So
awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
Jessica, so are you from the Seattle area originally, or
no?
Did you move out there?
Yeah, so funny enough, I am not actually from Cleveland either. My mom is from right outside of Cleveland, so she's from Warren, Ohio, by Youngstown.
Okay.
So that's where it's close enough, right? So that's where the Cleveland connection comes from. I'm from the DC area in Virginia, but I've been here in Seattle since 2018. So I've been here now for a little over 5 years.
Nice. And so out there, I know you said you've kind of taken over for the last 3 years here. It is exciting that you have an OG coming in for the weekend. That's pretty cool. But being in charge, are you guys involved with any community service or any charity work out there?
Yeah, so right now we don't have anything consistent, but we do have this weekend. We've got, to be honest, I don't even know how many people I'm anticipating at this point. It honestly could be thousands, which is still wild to me. But we are doing a huge raffle on Saturday night for our Browns Backers Bash. So part of the proceeds are going to go to an organization called Mary's House. So it's a local organization that helps with homeless. So, which is a big thing here in Seattle.
That's great. And part of us doing this, the Browns Backers interview series, is we want to highlight chapters because, we say all the time, obviously it's because you guys are a bunch of crazy Browns fans all over the nation. But it goes deeper than that. And I know just about every Browns organization, whether consistently or not, get involved with charity work, get involved with their community and give it back. So it's awesome that you guys are able to do that. And I'm sure it's going to be one hell of a party on Saturday night with the Seahawks game coming up there on Sunday.
Do you have any idea how many people are you expecting to come in for this weekend?
Well, so for Saturday, I sold 400 tickets and I capped at 400, but I know people are going to just kind of show up. But we are, which doesn't matter that I've been selling tickets since May. People, wait till the last minute and then. Yeah. But we are also doing a tailgate Sunday that we're also raising money for, actually. So the one most challenging thing about Seattle and planning this whole thing is the Seahawks, where they play, they don't allow tailgating.
What a terrible idea. Bad job out of Seattle. That's like one of the greatest parts about football.
Yeah, and the stadium is like literally right downtown, so there's not really a lot of space to even do it, and the only people that are allowed to park there are season ticket holders. So we well, mostly me, but I've had some help. Where we had one parking lot that wasn't going to be big enough. And so then we're renting out a bigger parking lot, but we've had to pay for that all out of pocket. So we've been raising money for that. Oh my God, I totally lost my train of thought right there. For Sunday, I honestly don't even know how many people. I've had 550 people say they're coming. I don't have a technical RSVP list, but there are some huge groups that are coming that live in Cleveland. One of them's bringing their bus, and he was saying that it could be thousands. So I'm just...
You got the Muni Lot Degenerates coming? Is that what they're called?
They're one of the groups. And
I told you.
Yep, they're one of the groups. And then we have, I cannot remember the name.
Paul Brown making his way out there?
He is. Oh yeah. So he's coming with Larry. So he's the one that owns the bus that's coming.
Yep.
So they were in Indy last weekend, and then they've been.
I've seen him making his trek across the northern United States, so I figured he was on his way.
Yeah. He contacted me and said he was coming. So.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, and it's really cool that these guys like to travel and kind of go around, and that's part of it. That's part of what we're doing here, highlighting your group and any other group as we do these interviews, is the fact that Browns backers are everywhere. They're everywhere. They all like to network and talk to each other and continue to grow this crazy organization. So it's just a really, really cool thing to see.
Yeah, and I got to meet a lot of them back in August when we did our yearly Browns backers President's Summit.
Did you come to Canton?
Yeah, so that was really, really cool. And I brought my mom with me. So it was actually really funny because I'm one of the younger presidents, and there are definitely more men than women. But my mom was loving it because a lot of them were her age, and we stopped in her hometown on the way there. But yeah, so I met a bunch of those people. I actually met, do you guys know Ray? He's in the Hall of Fame as super fan.
I've heard that a lot of these names that we've thrown out, I've heard the names, but I haven't actually met them. So I have not met Ray. He owns an
orange convertible, if that...
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about, actually. Yes, I do. Again, haven't met him, but I do know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, so... it's been quite an adventure. But yeah, meeting everybody was really cool, and everyone was super helpful. So, it's been good.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And like I said, it's going to be a crazy party out there. It's weird. We follow a lot of these Browns backers groups on social media, and it is like you're saying, all of a sudden you start seeing when the game is approaching their town, because there's all this activity on their page. People asking, is there going to be a tailgate? Is there going to be a party? How can we be a part of this?
It's almost like their Super Bowl, right? I mean, it's the only time you have the Browns in your city all year long. So,
yep. So that's really cool.
Sorry, you guys cut out there. Seattle is once every 8 years here. So a lot of people are making this kind of like a destination. So, and I've fingers crossed right now. It is not supposed to rain on Sunday. So
I was just going to ask you, how is the weather out there this time of year? I know we're kind of transitioning seasons here. Obviously in Cleveland, it's starting to get a little blustery here. Still have a couple warm days here and there, but they're kind of a gift. So what's the weather pattern out there look like?
Yeah, it's funny. I swear, every year I'm here, it is totally different. Doesn't rain as much as you would think. It's usually more overcast. But the past few weeks, we've had actually a lot of sun. It started to rain a little bit, but the next 5-6 days in the forecast are sunny in the 50s. So, and it doesn't usually get too cold here, which is really, really nice. It's very temperate. So.
Fun fact, Cleveland actually is up there in most overcast days in the nation per year.
Why is that fun?
And they actually top Seattle most years. They go back and forth, but they're both in the top 10, and Cleveland usually is a couple spots ahead of Seattle.
But ours is usually accompanied by feet of rain and snow.
Oh,
no, it's actually just talking about overcast days. So not rain, not anything else, just overcast. So we don't get a lot of sun here.
When our rain is more of a drizzle, it's not, we don't usually get full on downpours. So if you use an umbrella here, you're a tourist. We know.
Don't use an umbrella in Seattle. They'll know.
I'm glad I had this conversation.
Yeah. PSA. Who knew we were having that today? No, but let's talk about football a little bit here. So what are your thoughts on the Colts game this past week? What'd you think of that?
Oh my gosh. I was the Browns are going to be the reason that I get my first gray hair these last 2 weeks. I'm just like, I can't, these like last, like literally down to the last seconds, games are just so intense.
Well, and the wild thing about these last 2 games is we usually lose these ones, and we've won both of them. So it's been crazy. Luckily, that gray hair doesn't come through because you win in the end, and it's a sigh of relief.
That's why I have so many gray hairs.
That's the thing as a Browns fan is, we've been so like just beaten down, and like you never expect to win those games. You're right. Like you're just like, oh well, here we go. Like this is what always happens, and like. I know there's been controversy around one of the calls with was it a holding on Amari Cooper? And they fumbled it. Oh, sorry, the dog here, someone.
Okay. Is the dog close? Introduce the dog.
She's now barking at the door, but when she comes over here, I'll bring her over here.
So there was a hold on Amari Cooper. I think that's the less egregious one. I think the one everybody was mad about was the pass interference call on DPJ out of the back of the end zone.
But here's the thing: we never get those calls. For 23 years, we haven't got those calls. So I'll take one my way.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what I saw. There's this girl named Annie. She makes TikTok videos. I don't know if you've seen them, but she does
Probably
like a weekly recap, and she basically was talking about that and like going through and being like. People complaining about the calls we got this week, but then was making the list of all the bad calls we've had over the years.
Yeah,
there's been plenty of them.
There have been a lot. So we agree with you. I mean, it's just been heart stopping the last couple of weeks here. It's been just really hard on your heart and your emotions and just your mental health, I guess you could say. The
Browns are not good for your mental health.
No.
That is the truth. But like you said, at least when it's a win, you're like we go to our bar, and then there's this brewery right down the street, which I guess another plug, Triple R Brewing, which is near here. Nice. They expect us. They have our little magnetic schedule every week, so they always know if we've won based on the mood that we walk in with. So,
well, we've had 4 good weeks this season, so that must be 4 too.
I know. So, but yeah, I'm glad we pulled it off. That is all I can say about that.
And so, how do you think, just as a whole, the Browns have looked so far this season?
I mean, our defense is solid. I mean, this past weekend definitely wasn't their best game. But luckily, I mean, Myles Garrett is a superhuman. I just can't believe he's real.
It's like a meme. That lady on the plane. This guy is not real.
Not real.
No, I mean that it's just incredible what he does. But I mean this whole Deshaun thing is a little who knows what's going to happen. I know he's not playing this weekend, so we're going to see PJ Walker again. But
Kenny calls him TJ Maxx. He doesn't even know his name.
I forget his name. I call him XFL or TJ Maxx. The Deshaun story though continues to get more bizarre by the day. I mean, what do you think about that in general?
I don't know. I mean,
putting her on the spot here.
I mean, I personally have a lot of thoughts on Deshaun, but in terms of what's going on, I just you're right. We don't even. It's been so weird. They haven't been super upfront about what's going on. It was you would think after the bye week he's going to come back, and then he doesn't, and then he could have, I guess, technically come back on Sunday, but then he didn't. So it was he benched or, so yeah. I don't know. That's a really complicated.
He's healthy again this week. He's been cleared.
But he's being rested
again. But yeah, being rested. Yeah.
Yeah. So it has been bizarre, and I think honestly, more so than Deshaun, I think we all have our own personal feelings on Deshaun, but at the same time, football wise, I don't think he's necessarily really done much wrong except for at the beginning when he was telling everybody he was going to play. But if it truly was a coach's decision and not what Kevin Stefanski said about him choosing not to play, if it was not even a coaching decision, if it was a front office decision and they told him not to play.
I've just never seen a front office handle information so carelessly.
That's the point I'm trying to make is that, I don't put it on Deshaun Watson as much as I put it on the front office and the coaching staff to be upfront and honest
on the same page with each other.
Not only the fans, but media and everybody else about what's going on.
Yeah, so. The the Browns always leave you on your toes. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
We just,
It's
That's why they're bad for your mental health.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and look to this week. We are on a 2-game winning streak, which is rare. Cleveland.
Yes, it is.
So what are your thoughts on the Week 8 matchup with, obviously, the team in your city, the Seattle Seahawks?
Yeah. So I haven't had a lot of opportunities to watch what the big people are saying, but the Seahawks fans are very confident. I will say that. Man, I honestly think it's going to be a good game. I think it'll be close. They're playing well. They won last weekend too, and I believe it was a division game, if I remember correctly. And the Seahawks have the hardest time with division games. Like they usually lose the division game, so them even winning is a big deal. But I think the Browns can pull it off. I mean, having 2 wins in a row, they've got that momentum, right? And there's going to be a lot of us too, so lots of orange and brown hanging out at the stadium. So
that's what we like to see.
Yeah, and I know you said they are very confident, which they are 4-2. Geno Smith is playing well again this year. But I mean, would you say, as far as temperature wise on their team, like that's overall for the season, they think they've got a team this year, is what you're saying?
They do, yeah. And like even the guy that I've been working with for the parking lot for the tailgate, he was feeling pretty confident about it, and they were even like raising the prices for the parking lots this weekend, and they're feeling it. So, but so are we. So I think it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, but so I guess on the flip side of that, it sounds like you've talked to quite a few people there in Seattle about this week's game already. How do the Seattle fans feel about the Cleveland Browns?
Not really like any issues. It's funny when you talk to Seahawks fans, they are surprised that Browns fans exist, and I'm like, I mean, we are kind of far away.
They don't even have tailgating.
I know. Yeah. So, but there's no they have no beef with, Browns fans. And I will say most people in Seattle are very passive. And so they're not going to stir up any drama or anything like that. It's going to be very civil. You're going to have those sports fans that just are like that anyway, but there's no bad blood over here. They're all just whatever, it's the Browns.
Yeah. Well, honestly, that's kind of where we want to be. Yeah. If every team just comes into the game thinking, they're just the Browns, then that's probably where we want to be. I was like, don't underestimate us,
So obviously Geno Smith had a huge resurgence out there last year. Feels like almost, at least to me, like he's taking a small step back, but does the city still feel like he's their guy, like he can get it done, take this team on a deep playoff run?
Yeah, I was talking to my friend yesterday, and he was like, I still feel pretty good about Geno, because we were talking about fantasy, and I have him in one of my fantasy leagues. So he was he was still up on him, so I haven't heard any negative things on Geno.
Well, to your point, it does feel like he's taking a step back, but he's still playing well. Statistically, he's playing well. It's
he was so good last year.
He had such a crazy year out of nowhere last year that everybody kind of expects him to just repeat that. And that's quarterbacks won't.
It came out of nowhere, right? So that's where that came from. Whereas now he kind of has that expectation of you did this last year, you should be doing this again.
Yeah, what have you done for me lately? That's the NFL for you.
Speaking of quarterbacks, so obviously before Geno, you had the recently departed Russell Wilson.
Our board man's a big fan of Russell Wilson. A bone man, as we call him, our board operator, loves Russell Wilson.
I'm just curious, is there bad blood there between the fans of the city and Russell, and is there almost a joy to see him struggle so much as he has in Denver?
Yeah, it's you kind of get both sides of it. I've definitely heard people, and I personally don't have a problem with Russell. I think as a person, he seems like a good dude, nice. And I don't think them losing is all his fault. It seems like there's a lot of stuff going on in Denver.
Fair.
But you definitely do have the people here that are screw you, you left us, and and it is interesting too to hear some of his old teammates talk about him. They don't seem like maybe the biggest of fans. So, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a mixed bag.
I think what I've gathered since he left Denver, talking about some of the comments that teammates have made and whatever, is it sounds like he was far more of a loner than it seemed like when he was actually on the team. Like he just kind of did his own thing. And,
he was a loner playing a leader.
Yeah, and so it's just kind of a weird dynamic, and it's funny how that stuff. I will say that's how you could tell the Seattle Seahawks are a good organization. Is there was no inkling, like nobody had any idea that any of that was going on while he was there. And so
when he was there, it was great.
Right,
he was a MVP candidate every year, and things were great.
So the fact that was so buttoned up, and they continued to play well while he was there, and there was just no drama. Like, I mean, not to name names, but some teams that we know have drama a lot, and you didn't see any of that. So that, I mean, to me, that's a sign of a really good organization. So not that this is the Seattle Seahawks interview here, but I mean, I just want to give them a little bit of props there for if you had that much drama behind the scenes and it wasn't showing, that's a good thing.
Well, all their problems would have been solved if they ran it on the 1 yard line. So
that's true. That's true. What a bunch of idiots. But no, so Jessica, listen, it's been fantastic having you on here. I know you said the game was going to be close. Do you have a score prediction for us for this weekend?
Ooh, that is oh my gosh, that is so hard to say, especially after how many points they scored this weekend.
I'm hoping that was a fluke.
Well, not for the Browns, though. We want them to score that.
Right. Looking back at that game, I'll be honest with you, I still can't figure out how we scored 39 points.
I still know what happened.
I know what you mean, though. It does seem like where did they come from?
Well, our offense wasn't all that great. And so, I mean, I know our defense had a lot of turnovers and those types of things, but I just keep trying to count up the points in my head. And I'm like, wait, where did we get those extra 14? Like, Dustin Hopkins, I guess, is the answer. But
oh, yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, he's just, thank God for him. He is like.
Yeah.
Oh, man, a score prediction. Let's say, I do think the Browns can pull this off. I do.
Like it? I'm
going to say, I don't want to be so typical. Let's say 20-24 Browns.
Ooh, I like it.
24-20
Browns. I'll mark that down, and if it's right, I'll comment on our social media post, and I'll tag you in it and say, yeah.
I'll be talking about. That's right. I just pulled that, out of nowhere. So.
Well, no, yeah, we really appreciate it. We appreciate the time that you've taken to be with us today, and we're gonna hold you to that 24-20. I like it. I think that's what's gonna happen. I'm hoping the Browns come out on top, and yeah, I mean, it's just been fantastic. So thanks for joining us. Keep doing what you guys do out there, and go Browns.
Yeah, go Browns. Thank you guys so much for having me. We're the Seattle Browns backers, and you're listening to the Burning River Sportscast. Go Browns!